A very good afternoon. It's Fixed Wing Guy channel with me, Stuart Lomas. It's Tuesday afternoon still, and it's still lovely here in Manchester. Hope I find you well. This one's going to be another one of my odd bod ones. I've had a few emails asking me to do this kind of thing. And this one's going to be about conspiracy theorists and conspiracy theories. Very difficult to say both because they both sound very much the same. Let me say at this point, I have a vested interest here. They do fascinate me, I have to say, solely on the basis that I do believe the world is an extremely interesting place, and there's more to the world than even we know, you know. Conventional science, I do believe, doesn't answer everything, and I don't think it will answer anything for quite a while. So the kind of things I'm talking about, or kind of people I'm talking about, you'll be aware probably, no matter where you're watching this, of a gentleman called David Icke. David Icke, ex-BBC sports journalist and ex-professional football, soccer goalkeeper. Had some form of head explosion back in the beginning of the 90s, where he professed himself to be the Son of God whilst wearing a purple shell suit. Since then David's calmed down, but his realisation, in his words, of what actually is happening in the world has carried on, and he's done many talks, many TV shows, many radio shows, and of course his books regarding how he sees the world and how the human race are being lied to on a day-to-day basis. In America, you've got Alex Jones from the InfoWars channel, who broadcasts, I think it's nightly, over the internet on InfoWars, and talking about how everybody in America is being controlled and what government policies are doing to the United States population, and how you should prepare for things to go really bad within the relatively near future in America. How your police force are being militarized, using military-grade weapons and armaments, and how the population are going to be forced into a particular way of life if things carry on the way that they're going. Richard Dolan is a very famous American journalist and ufologist who is very interested in sorting out and dealing with the mysteries of all UFO abductions in America, and a gentleman called Stanton Friedman, who has been around for a long time, who deals with many of the mysteries around the world, ranging from the pyramids through to abduction and through to UFOs, Roswell, and government cover-ups. So there's a few good people out there that you could research if the kind of things that I'm going to refer to in this video interest you. Now, the kind of things that I want to point out, and I'll just go over a few quickly. I'm not going to put any of my solutions forward for these things, but these are the kind of things that kind of stick out, that for me kind of need answers. The first one, very prevalent still in the US, the JFK assassination. Whichever way or which side of the fence you fall on, whether it was the lone gunman or whether it was some form of government agency, if you read all the online documents, obviously excluding the ones that have not been redacted by the CIA, multiple wounds from a single projectile, the magic bullet theory. This kind of thing seems to have gone unexplained or frittered away somewhere in the midst of time. The moon landings, oh yes, the moon landings. We can't escape the moon landings. Although I do have a problem with the moon landings. My problem is more about the aforementioned JFK, who in his speech in 1962 said that, and I think the quote is, we're not going to do these, go to the moon and the other things because they are easy. We are going to do them because they are hard. Now, in 1962, the United States didn't really have either an established or B, a successful space equipment program. They had Gemini on the go, but there are many videos out there, a lot of them on YouTube, showing the Gemini rockets either literally just falling off the launch pad or getting off the launch pad, immediately turning around and crashing back into the ground. There are videos of Neil Armstrong piloting the first production model, if you like, of the Eagle, the thing that was supposed to land on the surface of the moon, here on Earth, tethered, and you could hardly control it. But my problem is between the speech in 1962 and the launch of Apollo 11 in 1969, 7 years. 7 years to develop a whole new technology. It doesn't seem a lot, even if you throw countless amounts of money at it. So that's, allied to the moon landings, there is between here and the moon something called the Van Allen belt. Now, the Van Allen belt it is a very strong belt of radiation, which in effect is a massive interplanetary microwave oven, which, if any animal material should pass through it, will be cooked to a crisp within a relatively short period of time. Now, there is a recent video that's come out from NASA regarding a spaceship they're developing, the one that will take men to go from Earth to Mars. And their space engineer basically said that we are currently working on the problem of getting from Earth through the Van Allen belt. Now, my query with that, of course, is why is it a problem as we've already been to the moon? Surely, in 1969, they had solved that problem. But if you watch this video, maybe they haven't. And if they haven't, how do we get to the moon? MK Ultra. MK being a very bad abbreviation for mind control. It was based at a place called Montauk in America, where they took unsuspecting young people, pumped them full of LSD, and bred a number of robots, as it were, who would do the bidding of their countries, whether it be the US, Russia, China, whoever wanted to buy that technology, if you wanted. Area 51, always hotly denied. We all know it's there. I don't think it appears on Google Earth. I think it's blotted out. Roswell, 1947, with Jesse Marcel, where they so-called found remnants of a crashed UFO, which were actually turned into a hot air balloon. And one that probably a lot of people have never heard of, which is Rendlesham Forest. Rendlesham Forest is here in the UK, and back, I think it was in 1980, two American airmen based at a US Air Force base here in Britain had close contact with an actual landed UFO in a place called Rendlesham Forest. I've always thought that Rendlesham should be far more important and more famous than Roswell, because there was actual contact, and there is even both written and tape recorded reports of that encounter. I also want to talk about the New World Order. I did touch on this at my video, said I was worried about the world. Governments of the day are running by an ethos of problem, action, solution. And what I mean by that is those three things result in a government of a day being able to control the population. And 9/11 is a prime example of that. When 9/11 happened, and the population of the world were led to believe that it was an attack, the American government and obviously everybody else fell into line saying, look, there is a problem with these radicals, and we are now under threat of terrorist attacks around the world. Hence the phrase, a war on terror. Basically a war on nothing. We go to war with things, people, tyrannies, countries, whatever it is. We don't go to war on an idea as such. The problem is put out there to keep the population of countries in a state of fear. The governments of the day then say, well, what we can do is this. We will take this action, and that action, as we believe, will be successful, and that successful action will be a solution. So let's put it in terms that we all understand. You are a kid going to school, you are being bullied. Somebody in a higher up class says to you, I see you being bullied, don't you worry, if there's a problem I'll look after you and that problem will disappear. You then feel quite happy that you're being looked after, you don't worry about the problem anymore, but eventually the person who's looking after you could, in theory, bring their own agenda forward, because they in effect control you, your safety, and your perception of your world is safer because of them. So, problem, action, solution, control. Keep the populace in a state of fear. What is happening here in Britain is that we are being told that we are constantly under threat after the July the 7th bomb attacks in London, that because to ensure that we are not under any more threat than of terrorist attacks or muggings or whatever, that we need cameras everywhere, and they are convincing the populace that cameras are the best, less intrusive way of fighting crime. We don't want armed police walking the streets here in Britain, do we? No, we don't, because that's not our way. So what we do, we put cameras everywhere, cameras which ensure that we, the so-called free population of Britain, are on some camera 300 times a day. They know where I am 300 times every day. How is that freedom? I'm not too sure. But we're now 13 minutes into this, and I did say I'm going to keep this short, so I am going to keep it short. Conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists exist for one reason. Conspiracy theorists have come to the conclusion, quite rightly, that conspiracies can happen and do happen for one reason and one reason alone, and that one reason is trust. And it's the trust that we, the people of different countries around the world, have in our governments. And it is very, very hard. The prime example here is the 9/11 bombing. It is hard for anybody, let alone American citizens watching this, that their government could come up with such a heinous plan to sell you, the American people, that you had to have a war on something that was intangible, i.e. terror. They wouldn't do that to you, surely. Because why would they? They only want to protect you. They only want to protect the world. So for them to hold on and to perpetuate a lie for so long, the JFK assassinations, the moon landings, 9/11. The 9/11 will still be being talked about in 25 years' time, 50 years' time, 100 years' time. We as people don't want to believe that our governments, the people who we elect trustingly, because we live in a democracy, don't we, will force us to believe something that isn't true. And that is the reason why, is because we believe that governments of the day are noble, that they would not perpetuate a myth like this. So what conspiracy theorists are saying is that that is exactly the case. Governments realise that we will not doubt them, that we will take their word as good as their bond. So all these nasty things that have happened, whether it be JFK, whether it be us not going to the moon, whether it be 9/11, or whether it be, you know, things like Area 51, Roswell, Rendlesham here in Britain, and so on and so forth, they know that we will give them the benefit of the doubt. So the problem is not the conspiracies. The problem is not the conspiracy theorists. The problem is us and the trust that we give the people in power. And the more trust we give them, the more liberties they will take with our liberty. So that's it for this one. Love to hear your thoughts on this. By all means, let me know as always down below. Any comments, any questions, down below. Any suggestions for this kind of thing that you want me to turn my head to, down below. For now, if this is the first one you've watched and you're thinking, God, this guy's off his gold, have a look at my other stuff, you may like it, and if so, please subscribe. Anyway, for this, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.